Okay, so today we're going to really dig deep into Geo Financial Services Limited,
JFSL.
JFSL, right? And, we've got a ton of really interesting stuff to go through um, from you.
Yeah.
This includes the transcript from their recent analyst call
hmm
that covers the quarter and 9 months ending December 31st, 2024. So pretty recent stuff,
Yeah, very much so.
and also some of the stock exchange filings.
Right.
So we're really
Yeah.
going to try to cut through all the the financial jargon and
Yeah.
see what's actually going on with them.
Exactly. I think this is a really good time to be looking at them because,
Yeah.
they're sort of at this point
They're
where
growing like crazy, right?
they're in expansion mode. And I think like one of the things that's really fascinating to me is that they have a very clear mission and it's kind of encapsulated in what Mr. Hitesh Sethia,
Yeah, they're MD and CEO.
their MD and CEO, exactly. He said that their whole goal is to simplify financial
Or
services.
every
For everyone in India, they want to be a trusted digital-first financial partner.
digital first.
That's a huge point and, address a wide range of needs using next-gen technology.
Next gen.
So they're really
They're all in.
they're all in on the whole digital thing and that
Yeah. Well, and you can see that in how they're
yeah.
performing, I guess.
Yeah.
But what we're going to do over the next few minutes here is we're going to look at their key operational achievements, their strategic moves,
Mhm.
and their financial results from this analyst call. So
Sounds good.
let's just jump right into it.
Let's do it.
And one of the first things that jumps out from the transcript of this analyst call
Yeah.
is that they're in a period of massive growth.
Yes.
And they're talking about, this expansion mode.
Absolutely. They've said that explicitly that they're in expansion mode and it's evident in their diverse product suite, their expanding distribution network, and a tech stack that's really built for scale.
Yeah. They're not messing around.
No, they're not. And right now their focus seems to be very much on operational execution,
Mm-hmm.
making sure that, things run smoothly and creating what they call best-in-class digital journeys for customers
Yeah.
right across a variety of services.
Right. So what kind of services are they talking about here?
So we're talking about things like digital gold, purchase payments, bank accounts loan on mutual funds, two-wheeler insurance merchant, onboarding, a lot of different things.
Yeah. And it sounds like they're making a really big deal about how fast it is.
Right. They're saying that a lot of these processes can be completed within a matter of minutes,
Wow.
which, in the financial world is a bold statement.
It is. Is that just, straight through processing, or are they?
I think it's a combination of automation, straight through processing, a really well-designed user interface.
Okay.
And I think, it really underscores their whole digital-first philosophy, but they're not just relying on the technology.
Mhm.
They've also been actively strengthening their distribution channels across their different entities.
Okay. So what's that look like?
So for example, GeoFinance Limited, which is their NBFC arm,
NBFC.
NBFC, which stands for Non-Banking Financial Company, essentially operates like a bank in many ways,
Okay.
but without a full banking license. So they now have 9 physical offices across 7 cities to provide that crucial on-the-ground support.
Okay. So that's like their last mile fulfillment. Is that what that's called?
Exactly, yeah. And then digitally, GeoPayments Bank Limited has expanded its business correspondent network.
The BCs.
Yeah, the BCs to around 7,300 across the country.
Wow. And that's important because
That's important because it allows them to reach a much wider customer base, particularly in regions where, digital familiarity might be lower.
right.
And then we have GeoPayment Solutions Limited, which has integrated its payment solution with GeoParet.
Oh, okay. So Geopart, I mean, that's a pretty big deal, I think. Because
Big deal.
they're going after that like lower end of the market.
Yeah.
People who are
Exactly, the affordable feature phone market,
yeah.
which is still a huge segment in India.
Yeah.
And by embedding their payment solution in GeoParet, JPSL, can really onboard small merchants at scale and tap into that demand that's driven by the sheer volume of these devices.
Right. It's kind of like meeting customers where they are instead of,
Absolutely.
trying to force them to come somewhere else.
Yeah, and it's not just about these specific channels. They've also established a marketing partnership to leverage the MyGeo app, which has a huge user base for customer acquisition. So they're really trying to create synergy
Yeah.
within the broader Geo ecosystem.
Right. So it sounds like all this stuff that they're doing is actually starting to bear some fruit.
It is, yeah. They're seeing some early positive outcomes, which are very encouraging.
So, like, what are some examples of that?
Well, for example, the assets under management for JFL. The AUM exactly, which is the total value of assets they manage, saw a really impressive jump.
Okay, how impressive are we talking?
Well, they went from 1,206 crores in the previous quarter to 4,199 crores in Q3 FY25.
Wow, that's a big jump.
Yeah, that's a significant leap, and it suggests that their lending operations are scaling very effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, GeoPayments Bank Limited's customer base grew by a robust 25% quarter-on-quarter, reaching 1.89 million CASA customers.
Price.
CASA, which stands for Current Account and Savings Account,
Got it.
which are key indicators of customer acquisition for a bank.
Mm-hmm.
And across all of JFSL's digital platforms, they're reporting a combined monthly active user base of 7.4 million.
So things are looking up for them.
Things are definitely looking up.
Okay. Let's move on then to...
Okay. We also noted that GeoFinance Platform and Service Limited has applied for a third-party application provider, or TPAP license, with NPCI. NPCI, which is the National Payments Corporation of India, the organization behind UPI.
UPI, Unified Payments Interface.
Exactly.
Okay.
For the GeoFinance app.
Okay, and what does that mean?
Well, this TPAP app license is really crucial because it allows the app to directly facilitate UPI transactions
Okay.
for its users.
So people can use UPI through the app?
Exactly. It makes digital payments much more seamless and more integrated.
Yeah, that's a really big deal over there.
It is a huge deal.
Okay, so let's talk about money.
Let's talk about money.
How did they perform financially in Q3 FY25?
Okay, so the consolidated profit after tax was a very healthy 295 crores.
Okay.
Their total income for the quarter reached 449 crore.
Okay.
It is important to note that this is a decrease compared to the previous quarter, but this is mainly due to the absence of a one-time dividend they received in Q2.
Right.
So it's not really a cause for concern.
Okay. What were the main drivers of that total income?
Well, interest income contributed 210 crores, reflecting their earnings from loans and treasury operations. Okay.
They also had a net gain on fair value changes of 191 crores
Okay.
from their investments and fees, and commission income of 37 crores from their insurance broking and payment services businesses.
And what about expenses?
Right, so their total expenses, including provisions for potential loan losses, were 131 crore for the quarter.
Okay.
Interestingly, these provisions for expected credit losses, or ECL, which is essentially an estimate of potential future loan defaults,
Right.
increased to 12 crores. However, if we exclude these provisions, their total expenses actually decreased
Okay.
compared to the previous quarter, which they attribute to some one-time expenses incurred in Q2.
Makes sense. So let's talk about this GeoFinance app, because it seems to be really, really central
Absolutely.
to their overall strategy, right?
They're positioning it as the unified digital storefront for their retail customers.
Mm-hmm.
And the goal is to provide, a smooth and secure experience across all their offerings.
Right. Whether you're looking to borrow money, make payments, invest, or get insurance.
Yeah, and it seems like people are actually using it, right?
They are, yeah. So let's break it down now by a few of their specific business segments.
Okay.
Starting with lending and leasing
Okay.
under JFL. What's their strategy for growing this area?
So their approach is twofold. They want to leverage the internal strengths and reach of the Geo ecosystem and also establish external partnerships.
Okay.
So, for example, they're distributing home loan products through the group's existing physical network,
Okay.
and they're also collaborating with property portals and real estate developers. So they're not afraid to partner with others.
No, they're very much open to partnerships.
Okay.
And in the high net worth individual segment,
Right.
for loans against shares and mutual funds, they've formed channel partnerships with wealth management firms and banks, and they're employing a phygital model. Phygital, which is basically a combination of digital convenience
Okay.
for things like initial applications with physical touch points,
Okay.
for verification or more complex advisory services.
Like a hybrid approach.
Exactly, a hybrid approach,
Yeah.
catering to different customer needs.
Let's move on to insurance broking under JIBL. It sounds like they've really gone all out in developing a pretty comprehensive range of products.
They have, yeah. Their product portfolio is now complete,
Okay.
offering plans from 31 leading insurance companies across all major categories. And they operate through 3 primary distribution channels:
Okay.
direct-to-customer embedded and ecosystem sales.
So that means selling insurance within other geo services, right?
Exactly. And institutional sales to businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been actively expanding their offerings within these channels.
Give me some examples.
So in Q3 FY25, they launched non-term life insurance through their direct-to-customer channel and more than doubled the number of available plans across various categories like auto, two-wheeler health, and life insurance, bringing the total to 54.
Wow.
Their co-developed sachet insurance products.
Sachet?
Sachet meaning small ticket size.
Got it.
Like solar panel insurance and cyber insurance offered through their embedded channel are really interesting examples of tailored offerings. And they also onboarded 39 new corporate clients in their institutional channel.
So really expanding across the board.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then finally, let's touch on wealth management and their partnership with BlackRock in investment advisory.
So Geo BlackRock Investment Advisors Private Limited was established in September 2024.
Okay.
And they're currently in the process of recruiting senior leadership.
To drive this thing forward.
Exactly.
Okay. So in Mr. Sethia's concluding remarks on the analyst call, he seems pretty confident about all the progress they've made. So it sounds like Geo Financial Services has really made a lot of progress in Q3 FY25.
I think so, yeah.
We've seen substantial growth in their assets under management and expanding customer base for their payments bank.
Yes.
And increasing engagement across their digital platforms.
Absolutely.
And their strategic focus on, digital transformation, broadening their reach through diverse channels, and forging those key partnerships like the one with BlackRock.
Yeah.
All seems to be contributing to this momentum that they have going on.
Yeah, I agree.
This deep dive into JFSL has been really interesting.
It has.
And it really makes you think, how might this company with its digital-first approach and, the ability to tap into this massive ecosystem, how might they reshape the financial services landscape in India?
It's a good question.
For everyone, for everyday users and businesses alike, it's definitely something to think about as you're navigating your own financial interactions and just watching how this unfolds.
I think the potential impact of their technology-driven approach and their extensive reach on how financial services are accessed and used across the country is quite significant and worth watching closely.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where they go from here.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on and
this was fun.
Yeah, breaking this down with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, we'll talk to you again soon.